Give your name again. Haley, thank you so much. She got me. She took my whole speech away. Now, she turned the other way so I couldn't cheat and see her name tag, so I could say thank you to both Tyler and Haley. I really want to thank Lynn Clarkson, too, for coming out just a few weeks ago to testify in front of the House Ag Committee on very important issues. For me, this is a great opportunity to talk about an issue that I really didn't know much about until I became a member of Congress. Now, they mentioned that one of the first pioneering organic farmers in central Illinois is somewhat related to my family. My wife, Shannon, is the goddaughter of a gentleman by the name of Jack Ayersman. How many of you know Jack? Anyone? You can all clap. He's a good guy. And Jack has been a longtime friend, so much so he did sing at our wedding, which will be on June 10th of this year, 20 short years ago. Jack is a great friend who I just saw last Saturday night, and he said, "I hear you're going to speak to the OTA." And I said, "Absolutely I am." I said, "What do you want me to say?" He goes, "Just don't mess up." And I get the same response out of Kelly, too. I see Kelly with Earthbound. You know, part of my job as a member of Congress is learning. I came here freely admitting that I don't know everything. And as a matter of fact, when I got a seat on the House Ag Committee, even growing up in a small town near Cerro Gordo, a town called Taylorville, I grew up around agriculture, all types. But it didn't sink in through osmosis about what it meant to get product from the field to the stores and to the table. My family's business is in the food serving business. So I was more on the side of, hey, it's here, get it out of the freezer, cook it, box it, move it out, and do it quickly because you got another car in the drive-thru. So when I got into policy making, working for another member of Congress before I was elected to Congress, I had to learn the difference between a planter and a combine, let alone organic versus non-organic. And coming here as the only member of the Illinois delegation in the majority party in a year that we were tasked with writing farm policy, I had to learn. I had to get engaged. The first thing you do is you hire good people. And my folks, Jen Dalby, my chief of staff, and Bobby Frederick, my legislative director, had a tremendous ag background. And Bobby would always talk to me early in my tenure about organic. We got to do this for the organic folks. We got to make sure this language is in here because we have to have a vibrant ag sector that includes all sectors, organic, non-organic. We could talk about all the different ag sectors for as long as we want here today, and that could take up your entire conference. And then we could talk about how they kind of fight with each other at certain times on policies, and we forget that the main goal is to get the larger bill across the finish line rather than fighting over amendments. But that's a different story. We won't worry about that today. But those are the things we had to deal with all the while trying to pass long-term farm policy that's going to be a balanced approach, and at the same time, I had to learn it all. It scares the heck out of me, and it should scare each and every one of you that they trusted me to help write the Farm Bill and serve on the conference committee with the limited agricultural knowledge I had getting out here. Yes, don't clap at that one. Be very fearful. But to me, it's less about what I know and more about what I can learn from each and every one of you and craft those policies that can help our tremendous ag sector. The ag economy in Illinois is what has kept our local economy going. My district includes some of the largest and some of the most expensive farmland in America in central Illinois. But we also have some of the largest agribusiness giants in my district, ADM, Tate and Lyle. GSI is headquartered in my home county, our county's largest employer, global marketplace. So there are many issues that go beyond ag policy and go into trade. As our friends from Clarkson Grain mentioned, it's about transportation too. So my other committee, we dealt with water infrastructure. We need to get our products out into the open ocean to move them more quickly. I like when people tell us we can't do things. And when I came to Washington, they said, you cannot pass a farm bill. It's just never going to happen. Well, there were a couple days I thought they might be right. But we came together. We found the balance, and we got one through in a very bipartisan way. I was also told that you cannot address water infrastructure issues because you can't, number one, do it without earmarks, and number two, there's no way to find a funding source. Well, we did both. And I had a group come in just a few weeks ago that was really interested in water infrastructure, an ag group. And now they said, well, what are you going to do to stop them from raiding the Inland Waterway Trust Fund? I said, well, isn't that really a good place to be right now? We were first worried about whether or not we can craft policies that are going to save taxpayers billions and reduce the amount of time it takes to get from an idea to construction on all the water infrastructure we need in Middle America. And then we did that. You said then we couldn't do a funding source. Well, we did. Now, it's not pretty sometimes how we make legislation out here in Washington. It was part of a bill that created tax-free savings accounts for parents with dependent and disabled children, but it worked. So now the problem you have when you come see me is, how are we going to stop from raiding the surplus? Well, we can easily do that by making the Corps of Engineers actually build something. What a novel idea. But it shows us the issues we face in Washington is how we move from one problem to another problem to another problem. We have to evaluate how far we've gone sometimes. And in this case, if the debate is over whether or not we're going to raid a surplus in a trust fund to pay for something else, I'll take that place to be right now than where we were just a short time ago with the ag sector and with the transportation sector. Now, as we move into this next Congress, I'm in my second term. I learned a lot in my first term, that it takes working together to actually get things done. I know many of you in this room, before you came to Washington, were enamored by the TVs on the sinks in the bathroom. What is that? Never seen that before in my life. You would have thought no one in Washington gets anything done, because we're watching TV, washing our hands. But you know what? The Farm Bill, WRDA, are two examples of how we actually have worked together in a very bipartisan way to move major legislation forward that people told us we couldn't do. And we did it because there was bipartisan support. I'm a proud Republican, but I am proud to know just as many of my colleagues who are not Republicans, because I want to work with them. And when you're given the opportunity to work together, then you can actually accomplish big things. Moving into this Congress, I've now had I don't know if I should call it a pleasure or a luxury or a sentence, but I'm the subcommittee chairman for the subcommittee that has oversight over biotechnology, horticulture, and research. Yeah, the former fast food guy running that show. Be very scared. It gets back to learning. That's why I traveled. Sometimes in our job, we have to travel to some places that are just so difficult to go to. So I got to go to Salinas, California, and tour Earthbound's facility not too long ago. And let me tell you, that's a beautiful part of this country. It's the first time I've ever been there. But why did I go? I went to go see Kelly and the group at Earthbound because I don't have an organic processing facility in my district. How can I learn about produce and specialty crops and what folks like Earthbound have to go through at their processing facility if I don't see it myself? I can drive up and down the highways in my district and see the corn and soybeans. I can go talk to Jack Ayersman about what it means to grow his crops organically in Central Illinois. But to go see what Earthbound does in Salinas, California was not that painful, because it was great to go see Kelly and the rest of the crew. But it helps me to understand the issues that we're facing as a subcommittee. I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to learn, but I can't learn without your help. I know many of you are going to go invade the Capitol today. I know you're going to talk to members of Congress. I know you're going to tell them what you want them to do. And rest assured, tell them all, if we work together, we can get a lot of good things accomplished. We've done it before. We'll do it again. That's what makes this country great. That's what makes our opportunities out here to serve you in Washington even more of a privilege than what I ever imagined it would be. Somebody like me, a small town kid from Taylorville, Illinois, having the opportunity to walk the same halls of Congress that many before us walked. I know that we're tasked with getting big things done. But part of getting that done means we have to know that we have to make some tough decisions. But I didn't come out here to make decisions easily. I came out here to make those tough decisions regardless of the political consequences. And many of those decisions in the ag sector actually impact the organic industry. but we made good decisions. You've seen good policy go forward. I'm looking forward to working with you to move even more policies forward, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of your members of Congress to make that happen. Thank you very, very much. I don't know if I've got time for a question. There's one of my evil ag people over there to the left. Do I have to go? I got time for maybe two, if anybody wants to ask. Anybody? I reserve the right not to answer.
Yes, Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Doug Crabtree, an organic farmer from Montana. You sit on the committee regulates biotechnology.
Yeah.
I want to ask you why we don't yet have a labeling law and what you're going to do to see that we get one.
I reserve the right not to answer a question. It's going to take, it's what the majority of my speech was about. What's your name again?
Doug.
Doug, my eyes aren't that good. I was trying to look at your name tag. It's going to take working together. I chaired a subcommittee hearing a year ago because the subcommittee chairman for this subcommittee at the time lost his voice. Afterwards, I found out why. It was convenient. He lost his voice. And it was actually a very good discussion on GMO labeling and the science behind GMOs, and it was a very bipartisan hearing. But as I left, I realized the impact that just having that debate has on your social media. Yes. I had no idea so many of my friends were interested in that issue and didn't take the time to listen to the hearing that we had that, again, was very bipartisan. I sat right next to Kurt Schrader, who is an organic farmer, talking about this issue. So we fast forward. That hysteria doesn't help us move ideas forward. And frankly, I'll admit, after that instance, my first reaction is the same reaction I would have had in grade school or junior high or high school if I was being bullied. I'd want to fight back and say the hell with it. I don't care. That's wrong. They're wrong. But I think we need some type of a standard to ensure that we don't continue to have this debate. But rest assured, when we do solve the problem, the fight's not going to end. And the fight and the discussion will continue. And that's the unfortunate aspect of this debate. There's a bill in Energy and Commerce. There's discussion about working an ag component in there. My subcommittee has jurisdiction. The Energy and Commerce bill would have the FDA have jurisdiction. Frankly, I don't know how you feel. I would rather have the USDA have jurisdiction, similar to what they do with the organic label. That's a fight we're fighting right now, even amongst Republicans. And it's a fight that we're going to continue to fight, but hopefully we'll have some solutions. I wish I could grow a beard like that.
Quit shaving and it'll start to come.
I tried, man. Black bear spot right there. My wife makes fun of me.
Yeah. My question doesn't have anything to do with labeling. However, it does have to do with biotechnology. And that is, as an organic farmer, if somebody's chemicals came over in our field or somebody's hogs came over in our field, and we have taken action against the person responsible for letting his or her either chemicals and or hogs in our organic fields, why is it that organic farmers who never really wanted to utilize the technology, never signed a license agreement to do so, to use the technology, actually want to avoid the technology? Why is it that organic farmers are the ones responsible for avoiding the technology versus the person that's utilizing a patented technology be the one responsible for controlling the genetic drift or the contamination, if you will, of organic crops?
That's a great question. I think a lot of those problems will be solved with the continued growth of the organic industry. When you have more farmers actually utilizing organic methods to grow our products, then you have less of an opportunity to have that bleed over. I don't think you're ever going to solve that, and I think there's bleed over from non-organic to non-organic farms too, in the sense that there's always some property disputes. But as we continue to see the organic industry grow, as we continue to see more technological advances within the ag sector, I think you'll see people who will come into the marketplace and help solve that problem for us. And that's something that Washington, we can consider issues of great circumstance and great substance to your overall industry, or we can fight individually at the field-to-field level. This is something that I think locally you need to address, but it's something that if it's an issue that we're debating in Congress, I think it's an issue that has to be looked at the 30,000 foot level. And I think the more it becomes a problem, the more you'll see solutions. I got time for one more. And I'll ask Jack Ayresman about it.
You should. Jack will have a lot to say on that.
Jack's a pretty shy person.
Laura Badger with the Organic Trade Association. I mostly want to thank you for taking time to come over here this afternoon. I know you've got some votes going, and just we heard an update this morning from Secretary Vilsack, and I'm thinking back to when your committee was marking up the Farm Bill over 18 months ago now. And first and foremost, thank you so much. You were a positive yes vote for us on an amendment that we strongly supported moving through the committee that allowed organic producers to apply for exemptions from commodity checkoff programs and to allow our industry to consider petitioning for checkoff. So we appreciate your support so much back on the Farm Bill on that from committee, and we just heard from Secretary Vilsack this morning that they're moving forward with the final rule on the exemption piece of that. Should be out this summer, which is in government time, sort of lightning speed, and they're ready to work with us if we decide to pursue an application. So we're moving on the opportunity that you provided for us in the Farm Bill. So we just want to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you very, very much. Thank you. It's a privilege for me to be able to even have this opportunity. I know that we're given a special opportunity to really work on many, many issues that go way beyond what many of us will discuss here today. But also we have to focus on what matters most. And I got to give my staffer, Bobby Frederick, a lot of credit. He was the one talking to me about how important that issue was. But to be able to have a seat at the table and craft good, balanced farm policy was something new for me, but also exciting. And if you would do me a favor and let Secretary Vilsack know that this was probably the first time his name was brought up and I didn't bring up school nutrition to harass him about. So tell him I said you're welcome. Yes. All right? Okay. Hey, thank you all for putting up with me. Thank you all for your opportunity. Please go see this bathroom sinks.